talking.
Well, it's nice to be here. Thanks for everybody coming out. You can see the lines outside. It's amazing when it's 23 degrees and it's coming from 5 degrees. It doesn't seem so bad. It's coming from 50. It seems kind of chilly, but you can see everybody out there walking around and having a great time. So it's a fantastic cap to what has been a tremendous few days of our caravan.
Yeah, come on up here. There's a heat up here. So, you know, we're living good. But Dave, off season, you know, after the World Series, you guys got the business right away, signing Torrey Hunter, and you got Victor Martinez back. And a lot of people are looking at your team, and I think justifiably so, as the favorite to win the World Series. So there's some rank there. There's some rank and expectations. How do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, we have a solid club. There's no question. We have a good club, and we probably have as good a chance to win as anybody. But those things always are determined on the field. And so for me, it's enjoyable to really intermingle and watch our club. It's quality players, good personalities, good people. I think they're in a situation with Jim Leland as the leader, the coaching staff. They're focused towards what they need to do when they get there on the field. And take nothing for granted, because nothing's going to be given. It's going to be a battle day in and day out. But I think we have the type of club, if we play up to our capabilities, that we're capable of playing with anybody.
I think the number one question that they ask me incessantly when I do shows, and you're the one who has the answer to this. Hey, who's going to be the closer?
Well, right now, it's not Al Avila. But no, I think right now, if you were going to say, the leading candidate is Bruce Rondon. And having been through this many times in my career with young players breaking in, that when you're not established, people are always questionable on how somebody's going to perform. It's understandable, it's part of the territory, it comes with my job, but the other way you have to look at it is, if you only went with established players, you'd never have a young player ever break in with your team. So sometimes you need to give them the opportunity if you think they're talented enough to handle it. You don't anoint those people because they have to still earn it. But we're in a position where we think with his ability, with his development now, his experience-wise, he's closed at the A, the AA, the AAA level. He went to winter ball, he closed there with a very good ball club in pressure situations. And we don't relate totally to what it is to close in Venezuela in those games because we're not there. But it's big. There's big crowds there. It's important situations. He handled that job. For example, the Venezuelan club, they asked him to play for the World Baseball Classic after their season. So it's his opportunity, and I think he can handle it. Really, only time will tell, but I think he'll jump out, and I think he'll do a fine job. We do have some veteran pitchers that if Jim decides, hey, let's take a little break, let's give him a chance to catch his breath. We have Benoit, we have Cope, we have Dotel, people that have closed in the past. We also have good arms like Villarreal and Albuquerque. But to me, the leading candidate is Rondon.
Yeah, Al, you had the farm system, you watch them as much as anybody else, check their day-to-day development as close as anybody. Rondon, you went from the Class A all the way up. I noticed the one thing, you know, tracking him a little bit that I do, he walked a few more hitters at AAA than he did younger level, or, you know, AA, where the hitters are maybe more talented, but not quite as patient because they're not as veteran type of ball players. Talk about his command. Does he have command of baseball? He throws 100 miles an hour for trying.
Yeah, well, he's made tremendous improvements in the last couple of years. And last year was one of those years where you really take a big step forward. Now, people don't realize how difficult it is to jump from one league to the other. And then from one team to the other. There is a transition period there because a guy has to get used to find a place to live, new teammates, new pitching coach, new manager. Those things are easy. Sometimes we think these guys are like robots, and it just doesn't work that way. So sometimes when you're in a new team, in a new stadium, particularly higher levels, that's only a normal process. But then you're supposed to settle in and then get back to normal. And I think that's a transition. You'll see that. And if he's good, and if he's talented, and if he's ready, he will settle into a normalcy. And in his case, obviously, things that he's learned that he's had to do is field his position, all these things are added at the top, but just going straight.
Well, that's what people talk about it all the time, about there's a lot of nuance. pitching, especially in the major leagues, so they can't overrun her, and all of a sudden they're gone on them all the time. Dave, talking about the situation with closer, the what if, what's plan B? You still have a lot of prospects that in minor leagues. You may be successful trade deadline deals. Are you in any kind of look? How long do you go with Rondon? Can you judge much on spring training? Because a lot of people, top baseball people, say that's the worst time to evaluate a guy. How are you going to look at it? How much time is it? How do you sort this out before you start looking at it?
Well, I don't think you have any of that in concrete. I think it's a gut feeling. That's why you watch the club play day in and day out to see how he's responding. I know he has a good arm. There's no doubt about that. He's close, maxed. He has that type of mentality. So you just watch him perform. And I think that, again, in the World Series last year, we ended up, and in the postseason, really, because in the World Series we didn't need a closer, unfortunately. But it was a situation where prior to that, we were closing with other guys, and those guys were still on their staff. We look at a lot of experience in that regard. You always have a pulse of what's taking place outside your organization, who may be available, who may not. But to me, that's normal work. That's normal course of action. And I think with him, you just give him that opportunity, see how he does. I think some of the more important aspects of it, and Jim Leland has talked about this, and we've discussed it, is that how does he respond bouncing back? And you can't expect a youngster to be perfect. But I also don't even expect veteran closers to be perfect. So a lot of times you'll forget, if he goes out there and he blows a save, it's going to happen. How does he respond the next day? And then also, when that does happen, just remember that veteran pitchers are also doing the same thing somewhere else. So sometimes you have to be patient. That's why you go with your guts, instincts, you evaluate it, and just see what takes place.
The other thing, that's constant talk about during the offseason, that people are asking constantly, is about Rick Porcello. Here's a kid who's 24 years old. And I always tell people, look, Roy Halladay is 23 at 10.64 ERA. Rick Porcello's season, what he's done in the major leagues, has been pretty good for somebody that young. And you got to give him some time. He's got everything there for him. He seems to have the competitive character. He's just trying to figure it out. And he may at some point. There's a lot of depth in starting pitching. He's a constant subject of, hey, you're going to trade him, all these different things. Where does it look at from your standpoint?
Well, right now, I think our situation, we have some depth in starting pitching in a sense because we have 4 guys who are established and solid, and that excludes Porcello. Because when you look at Verlander, Scherzer, Fister, Sanchez, Porcello, this guy, people think he was the premium talent coming out of the draft not long ago. He's only 24 years old. And he's won 48 games at the major league level by this time period. And I believe that that's the most since Dwight Gooden many years ago. So it's not easy to get over that, to say, proverbial hump to get where you're that established guy. But he's a good, solid pitcher. Last year, what ended up happening is you're always looking for progression of guys in this fashion to go up, 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 up. Well, in his case, it didn't go quite up all the way because he struggled a little bit with the consistency of his breaking ball last year. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have one. He throws it very well in the bullpen. Sometimes you go through those tough years, but he is only 24 years old. He picked up his velocity again last year. He's mid-90s. He's a hard worker, quality makeup guy, and I think he's going to be a very good big league pitcher. So when you're in a position where you're with us, well, you've got depth. So people are going to talk about it because Drew Smiley's also ready to pitch at the big league level. And that's great because you never have too much pitching. We'll just see what happens. We've got both guys go to camp. It's a battle for the 5th spot. I will say that you put Porcello ahead because he's done more, but it doesn't mean that we don't feel comfortable with Smiley also.
Well, I always, people talk about Porcello. He throws a 2-seam fastball, but his 4-seam fastball throws it about 95 miles an hour. So he got a 2-seam fastball. It's that real heavy sink, and it's an exceptional 2-seamer when he has it working. With that 4-seam fastball, there's a dynamite combination there. It's the eye level, different things. It's just a matter of time, really, until he figures it out.
And that's the thing with us, where we are as an organization right now. Patience